New World is in a terrible state. Is it really? That's what we are going to find out today. Like, I know there has been like some negative feedback about New World, and it's kind of like people either love the game or hate it, but hey, let's see if it's really in a terrible state.
New World is an absolute disaster, and it's getting worse every single day. Whether you put a
Why?
thumbs up or a thumbs down, it means nothing because engagement does the exact same thing, no matter what type it is. So thanks for that. This video is going to be completely one-sided and very critical. I'll be talking about the
Okay.
largest problems with New World because there are too many of them right now, and they are far too massive to be ignored. Some of these
By the way, I quickly want to say something. If you're one of those people that really love New World, like, don't take criticism in a negative way. I actually think criticism is always good for games because it helps the games to evolve and for the company to find things that they can patch and fix, right? So yeah, let's be very constructive here, okay?
These problems are well known, some aren't. Some have top voted Reddit posts and some don't. Some of them will get fixed and some ignored, but ultimately this will be half catharsis and half awareness campaign, if you will, because I'm at the end of my rope with this game. Having waited for it patiently through
Like, you
multiple
need
delays,
negative
tested and
feedback on a
submitted as
game
much
for it to
feedback
get
as I possibly
perfect.
could during pre-release phases, most of which was obviously either ignored or not prioritized and got lost in the crowd, and rallied a community behind the title for the sake of social gameplay, I find myself using the channel for something less common but much more inflammatory, which is, simply put, me venting about something that I care for that is utterly and completely fucked right now. New World is a botched game. Will it stay that way? I have absolutely no idea, but what it is right now
Wow,
is a
look at
failed
that.
product and a horrible experience.
So much
This might seem
damage.
completely out of touch when compared to how many other creators are discussing the title right now, and it might even seem like a sharp turn from my own thoughts on the game during preview phases and even the closed beta. And it might seem that way because, in essence, it's kind of true. This game, as I discussed in my official review, which is up on the channel by the way, has two distinct faces, but I wasn't even aware at that point in time while I made that review just how bad it really was. On the one hand, there's a great experience that will probably last 100 or more hours if the game clicks for you, and you
Yeah.
can have it for no monthly fee whatsoever and a simple $40 box price. That's
I actually think that's really good for like casual gamers because the issue with like a lot of MMOs these days, you have like a paid subscription, right? If you look at, let's say, World of Warcraft, for example, and Final Fantasy 14, they're like at the top of the top basically when it comes to MMO games, right? And they're like the most played ones currently. Like, if you look on Twitch, for example, how high sometimes like Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft is ranking, and they all have a paid subscription. But if you're like one of those gamers that just want to give a game a shot and you don't want to dedicate yourself too much at this given moment, right? Like, I think MMO wise, like, New World is so new player and casual player friendly because you can just buy the game once and enjoy it for like several months, and then you can see if you want to like continue playing it or not. However, if you, let's say, in WoW get a 6 month subscription, you're kind of like stuck for like 6 months because you will feel like, at least I will feel that way. I feel like guilty if I'm like subscribe to a game, I pay monthly, I don't play it. It kind of like makes you be forced to play that because otherwise you're like paying for free basically because you get nothing from it, right? Like, you pay every month but you don't get to play it. So yeah, I think it's like that's like why I'm also thinking New World is so hyped right now because like there are a lot of like casual players and those that just want to give the game a shot but not dedicate themselves, and that's why so many get into it. If this game would have launched with a paid subscription, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't rank that high on Twitch and YouTube.
That's a good deal if you get even, I don't know, 80 hours of fun, because pound for pound, the earlier parts of this game and the progression up until maybe a little over halfway through various different crafting professions and basic level 60 content, pound for pound, it's very fun. But I'm not here to talk about the fun parts and try to soothe the honeymoon phase doe-eyed
Honeymoon
casuals who still
phase.
haven't made it past level 20. You are
Wow.
probably the most important demographic in gaming right now, and that level of
Yeah.
self-discipline will actually help your overall experience in this game by slowing down the ticking time bomb. But when that thing goes off, you will realize that this game is falling off a cliff and was completely unfit to be released. Let's start with what was a problem and still is before moving to the new and exponentially worse things that have started to crop up. For starters, the drop rates are completely botched. This has been an issue since long before release
Oh
day, and
yeah.
it wasn't changed. Drop rates for certain rare resources that are needed in many different crafting recipes either have a misplaced decimal point or they're sadistic. There are specific resources that simply don't show up on the global market, can be farmed for dozens of hours without getting a single one at all.
But they
And that's
exist in the
perfectly fine
game.
if scarcity is the actual goal, but these are tier 3 and tier 4 resources, while the tier 5 versions, hypothetically even more rare, or should be, are dropping at a frequency that is orders of magnitude greater,
Yeah,
thereby totally
that's
undermining
illogical.
the entire economic curve of certain
Makes
professions.
no sense.
Want to craft tier 4 legendary items? You probably just can't do it. Not because you aren't skilled enough, not because you don't know where to look for those components, but because those components just don't exist on your...
I think this was like maybe a mistake done by the devs. Maybe they accidentally, or I don't know, maybe they didn't like pay attention to it when they implemented a certain drop rate to like, let's say, a certain mob or certain area. So this seems to me like something they probably gonna patch, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would something on, let's say, tier 4 be more rare than something on tier 5 what is stronger? Makes no sense.
Because those components just don't exist on your
Seems
server.
to me like
I've heard rumors
a
that
bug
some
or
of these
mistake by the
items are
devs.
starting to drop, that people have 1 or 2 here and there, but when recipes require 5, 10, even 20 of those items, and you only see 1 on the entire server every few days, that's a broken system.
Yeah.
And it's going to get worse as more players level into a bracket where they
Keep
become
in mind this
effective.
early release, they're
Next up
probably
is
gonna fix a lot of
expeditions. This
stuff.
requires me to explain how they work for those that have not progressed far enough yet. Expeditions are an integral part of the PvE experience. I would actually assert that they are a massive chunk of what you will be doing both mid and end game, because they have unique bosses, mechanics, and locations, while also dropping good gear and helping break up the monotony of open world boss farming.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'll cover that one soon, because it's an absolute joke. Expeditions require tuning orbs, which are a sort of key to the dungeon. The problem? Tuning orbs are bind-on pickup items that require high crafting skills to make. That means you need to have someone physically in your group in order to do them who has trained those particular skills, like stonecutting, for example. Seems fine so far.
That's a
but
pain.
Wait until you learn that some of the components for those tuning orbs come from corrupted breaches. Well, corrupted breaches are another large chunk of the end game, so that makes sense. And you need the corrupted chunks or fragments or whatever they are, the top tier ones, which are also bind on pickup. Well, wait a second, because the corruption
Such a
portals
cool boss,
are
right?
broken right now and can't be closed because nearly every single player in the game has an Azoth staff glitch that locks them out of both the 55 and 65
That
level
means you
variant
can't
types.
finish it.
Well, uh-oh, that's not good, because the corruption breaches and PvE expeditions are one of the main sources of endgame gear.
Shit.
Combined, I would argue they're actually the majority of endgame content, and they don't work, leading to a complete stagnation in available activities post-level 60. Keep in mind, like or dislike, you benefit me and this video, but what's even more important is realizing that this criticism is not a function of me complaining that the content doesn't
No, it's
exist.
just pointing out
It's
bugs,
complaining
basically.
that the content does exist and is there, but it just doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
The PvE and crafting is broken, and when
It actually harms the game, because I'm pretty sure a few people get upset and will like quit the game because of that. Like, oh my gosh, like it's actually so complicated being a game developer, because I have like watched interviews and stuff by like some game developers, and there's often like an issue between the devs and like the lead of like the company, right? And they have like certain timelines and like certain dates where they must launch a game, and like the devs sometimes are like, hey, we need like 1 more month, like this and this is still bugged, whatever, like can you give us like 1 more month or so, can we release later, or maybe we need 2 months. And then like the company, like the lead, the CEO and all that, like, hey, no, we don't have time, just patch it later or something, let's just release the game. And then they like release the game and it comes live with full of bugs and glitches and this and that. Like I was freaking glitched into a freaking corrupted wall before, and I was stuck and I almost freaking died in there, because like mobs could attack me and I couldn't attack them, and I was like stuck in a freaking wall. Like you guys saw that on a let's play we did, I think it was like the second episode if I'm not mistaken, and I was like stuck in a wall and I nearly died because of a glitch. It was so annoying. It was a bit funny, but also annoying. And yeah, like this game just launched with full of bugs and issues. And like he said earlier, with like the tier 4 materials, with like the staff glitch and all that. Like I'm pretty sure though that eventually they're gonna fix that. So we just need to wait and see in the next month if they're gonna make a new patch and fix and address some of those issues. But hey, let's see. I'm pretty positive this will disappear.
Added to an economy that has no actual basis in financial reason or logic, it creates a gameplay environment that is incredibly frustrating. Speaking of economic balance here, having heard from an ex-member of mine who now runs with a different company on the same server, the taxation framework in New World is bleeding companies dry. The
Yeah!
taxation frequency and values are contributing to a downward
I heard
spiral
big
where
news
companies
about
can't
that.
afford to participate in certain systems because the gold just isn't there. And this problem was nowhere to be seen at launch and was impossible to really gather feedback on pre-release because it takes time to understand how those values will interact.
Also, the market price
also, the
being
other
broken.
aspect of mid/end game PvE, which is invasions, that's gatekept by companies to such an extreme degree using the systems Amazon has deliberately designed, it's unlikely that most people will ever even get to participate. I say this as someone who has and can participate in many different invasions, which are a fun aspect of the game with decent rewards, and I also say it as someone who enjoys that activity and wants more people to get to play it. One of the best parts of Endgame, the last pillar standing that isn't unplayable and broken like expeditions and corruption breaches, literally, is gatekept away from most players. So PvE is completely botched in the endgame because two of the main systems, the biggest systems in their entirety, just don't work, and the third is denied for most players. But it gets exponentially worse because that's only PvE. For PvP, I find it hard to even express just how dysfunctional and broken the game really is.
There are some
but
exploits
I'll do my
even.
best here. In the background right now is a clip of the PvP experience when teams decide to exploit. I've talked about it before, and it's still a thing. Well, what about Amazon's
The Immortal March?
Their response? I don't know how the hell this ended up being a thing, but their response was to stealth nerf all AoE abilities, which completely gutted their ability to heal or do damage, but didn't solve the lag problem. Instead of having AoE abilities
Look at this.
they now
People are frozen.
That means multiple healers are just overriding each other, and Ice Gauntlet users are just canceling each other's abilities. And it's not the strongest instance of the ability or the greatest value.
That doesn't look like fun, does it?
Whatever recent ability was cast, which means in a 50 versus 50 war, you are probably never going to get reasonable damage again with most AoE abilities. But
this is actually one of the issues we had with Elder Scrolls Online PvP in Zero Deal. Like Elder Scrolls Online, when it like launched and with the first expansions like Imperial City and all that, like it was so hyped in PvP, and then suddenly more and more people got into PvP, and then we had like such huge lag that sometimes the server would crash. Like I would use freaking healing skills, and if I click on my heal, I wouldn't get a heal. I was low health. Then I run around for 3 seconds or longer, and I pressed heal. I clicked it like 3-4 times, and I died because I couldn't use my healing skill or anything. Or I was like using damage skills, and they didn't come off on my target that was like low health. Or I used an AoE. The AoE appeared, but the player wasn't in the AoE anymore because there was like such a lag that you couldn't even place your AoEs anywhere. And like certain builds in Elder Scrolls Online were like unplayable that were supposed to be viable, especially if you had like certain like play styles where you had to like kind of like dodge a lot, because sometimes even if you dodge roll there was like a delay or something, and that was because of the lag, so you couldn't escape attacks. Especially like glass cannon builds suffered so much in Elder Scrolls Online at some phase because of that lag. And I'm like worried about New World if there will also be some sort of tank meta, because I think tank metas are terrible for PvP. I think fast-paced PvP is, in my opinion, the most fun PvP. Then you stand somewhere, you're freaking tanky, and you just spam buttons for like several minutes till someone dies. I think this kind of PvP is so boring, and lag is actually promoting that.
The lag exploit, the thing this was designed to apparently cure, there are still ways to do it. Absolutely genius. However, that's nothing compared to what comes next. It turns out, if you shrink your game down to a window and then click on it while dragging it around the screen, you become invulnerable. You literally cannot die while you drag the window around. Footage in the background right now on video. And that might be hilarious and stupid, but the problem is rooted so much deeper, it should be immediately alarming to everyone.
So weird.
You don't just become invincible. You actually physically lock in place no matter what. For instance, if you are falling, you just stop and float there, midair. This can go on indefinitely, and the reason it's so ridiculous is because it indicates that client-side authority is absolute. The initially discovered lag exploit, that was client-side too. Because you can
actually clear like bosses like that. Imagine that, like you become immortal and
that
use
kind
a
of
bug.
client-side control is horrifying because it means there is an immeasurable amount of influence that can be exerted over
Wow,
the game
look.
by individual players. A million.
Oh, it's
separate
like dancing then now.
The invincibility, that's just the start. There's more to come. Mark my words, people will, if they haven't
OMG.
already, discovered duping glitches, which absolutely existed pre-release.
So you can
and
be like,
probably
go
still exist right
AFK
now
mid
and happening.
combat,
We'll see, they'll blow up
I'll go
eventually.
to the
Further
bathroom,
PvP
and then you
exploitation,
become like
speed
freaking
hacks,
immortal.
and more. Because changing values or manipulating the interface client side is extremely easy to do.
But wait a second, actually this isn't super bad, because like if you look at this character, you can't do anything, right? Like what if you take action if you like hit the other player? For example, you will be mortal again, right? I think you will be, right?
Whenever a territory flips, whenever a war is won or lost, you have no
Yeah, once you
idea
take
if it was
actions, you
legitimate or
die.
not. It probably
You
wasn't,
have
to
to
be
stay
real,
like that.
and that is a central pillar of the game. Territory control affects taxation, economy potential, Azoth prices in a world where Azoth is already a frustrating mechanic by itself,
Huh?
and more. When the PvP system is totally and completely undermined to a degree where it cannot be considered even functional and needs to be immediately disabled, how can we rightly sit here and say anything other than the game isn't ready?
Wow.
Because that's all I can really say. I didn't even go deeper on dozens of other problems, like how numerical values are almost all universally wrong. We're in Anthem territory here. No joke at all. We actually are in Anthem territory. The light armor 20% damage boost, it's not 20%, it's between 7 and 13%. The fire staff abilities like Rune of Helios, they aren't 30%, they're 22%,
So wrong tooltip,
as per
huh?
one user's testing on Reddit. And critical hits only do 30% increased damage instead of 60% with light armor as opposed to heavy, because it's completely broken.
Wait.
Light armor, users testing on Reddit. And critical hits only do 30% increased damage instead of 60% with light armor.
Wait, why is it half of that? Yo, that's shit. Yo, I didn't know that. I want to go for like light armor, so I'm like hitting quite hard.
As opposed to heavy, because it's completely broken and nonsensical. Having 300 intelligence for a fire staff,
What the
broken,
heck?
doesn't provide what it should. Having over 250 strength, broken, slows down animation time instead of speeding up stamina regen, and some servers are jumping forward in their own internal clock time, leading to like 15
Oh,
downgrades
shit.
for territories all at once, then the server crashes, and I don't even have the lung capacity to describe just how many
We got
things
tons
are
of
broken in
bugs
this game.
here. What the heck?
Final point, the community in New World is absolute garbage. That's a broad strokes generalization, so let me elaborate a bit.
He means
I'll
toxic?
farm those dislikes.
I have
Not
seen a
every
lot of
company
toxic
is made up of
global
awful
chats.
people or exploit-driven losers, but the game intrinsically rewards, incentivizes, and caters to those who are the bottom of the social barrel. Most companies are fine, but unless you want to drag their window around, right, all around the screen for 30 minutes to win a war, unless that's your preferred tactic, or spam AoE abilities to glitch out the entire battle and fight statues with client-side lag.
But one thing we must keep in mind, it's a very heavy focused PvP game, and when it comes to PvP and people being like competitive and kind of like, hey, I want to go and kill other players, like they have not like the most social mind usually, right? Like a lot of people that are heavily into PvP, they aren't as social. There are of course some exceptions, I'm not saying everyone, but like a lot. I see this in freaking global chat. People are like cursing each other constantly and they have like some kind of like heated conversation basically. But that's normal for a PvP environment, where in, for example, like a RP environment or PvE environment, you have people freaking gift each other materials and stuff. They give each other freaking gold for free. They go and fish together, and you have like a very social environment if a game is heavily PvE or RP based. I mean, just look at the Final Fantasy XIV community. There is barely any PvP. I mean, there is PvP, but it's apparently not so good. I have to yet try PvP in Final Fantasy XIV. I never did. And here everyone is crazy social. When World of Warcraft, for example, people are more toxic and more easily upset with each other than in Final Fantasy XIV, where there's so much story, PvE, and RP. Like, it's crazy. Like, you see already from what kind of game you're playing and what the focus is on, how the community is. You're playing a PvP game, expect some toxicity. Like, that's normal.
They are going to lose against whatever company
People
decides
play the
do
game
it.
to kill other
In my
players.
review, I
What do you
anecdotally
expect?
discussed how one company on our particular server, the Enclave, was doing this exact type of thing. And little
There's
did
still
I
some
know
nice
they are
people,
actually
though.
very
You just
well
have to
known
look
in
for
other
them.
games for similar reasons. Their leader, Buzzcut Psycho, also known as Horrigan previously, has a bit of a track record in World of Warcraft. Their group was
What?
actually banned, I believe, for attracting the attention of a US congressman because of their propensity to do things like roleplay as KKK members. Their group goes all the way back to PlanetSide and
OMG.
PlanetSide 2, where
What
they
the
trolled
heck?
an
That's
in-game
so dumb.
funeral for a developer, I think it was, saying things like, "We're glad he's dead." And even my simple mention of them in a review
Wow.
resulted in their members joining our Discord server to spam images of minorities being hanged and videos that contained similar material. I
That's
didn't
a
even watch those
no-go.
videos. We filed proper reports to Discord.
That's so
the
dumb,
whole
so
nine yards,
stupid. Why
and
would
we got
someone
rid of
do
them,
that?
banned them from the server. But I say this with the utmost sincerity.
They deserved a
The
ban.
Enclave, supported by YouTubers like Swole Benji and led by people like Buzzcut Psycho, are the exact type of disgusting person that makes it possible for gaming media to demonize gamers at large. People like them make it feasible to brand massive chunks of the gaming community as not
Yeah, because now they are like people that are seeing those people, they think we are all like this or something. They're kind of like representing our game, right? And then the way they represent it, oh, there's some racism, some issues, this and that. And then like everyone will be like that doesn't play the game or see the game for the first time and maybe discover those people first before they discover us, right? They think, oh, look at the community. Hey, sorry, this is no game for me, or yeah, that's so dumb. Like you have to be very, very careful, especially if you are a person that's like a content creator or you're inside like a dev team or something. Like anything that goes public, like about a game, is also like how people are seeing the game, right? So if there's like a big, let's say, creator or like a dev that constantly like posts very stupid Twitter posts or some stuff against minorities, of course like people are gonna look at the game and be like, oh, that's a game for those kind of people. Sorry, that's not my game. And maybe the game is crazy fun, but they won't try it because of those people and giving such a bad image of the game.
make it feasible to brand massive chunks of the gaming community
Yep.
as Nazis and alt-right bigots.
Yeah.
Because the things that they say and do, the actions they take, the morals they hold, it's incredibly hard to look at the full picture in context and say anything other than, yeah, they are pretty fucking awful people.
Yeah, and
The rest of it,
then you
I've
don't
said
want to
before,
become
companies
part of
are
this because you
still
think by
mass
joining
recruiting
you
to get
become
key
part of
players
this.
banned before wars, but in true New World community fashion,
be stricter
they
bans,
are
I
also
think.
expanding that tactic because why not get someone banned for stealing your resource node? You can mass report for chat abuse and it works, so why not do it? People are getting banned for anything really because
There's
all it
also
takes is
some
a
ban
group of
abuse I've
coordinated
heard.
assholes to mass report and you're gone for 24 hours.
Yeah, is that actually still a thing? I've heard that if you like randomly report a person with like friends and like you just mass report someone and they haven't done anything, like they just immediately get basically banned before they find out if this person even did anything. It's like, oh, let's mass report him. Okay, he's banned now, but he didn't do anything. He was maybe just a good PvP player, and they say that he's like speed hacking or whatever. And he wasn't, but he was probably like maybe too good or too much of a challenge. And then like a certain group reported him, and then he gets like freaking banned. And there's like no proof or anything, like no evidence that he did something forbidden, and he's like banned anyway for like days maybe. So stupid.
And the appeal takes more than 24 hours, so you just get temporarily banned for whatever the bigger group of dipshits thinks you should be banned for.
Yep.
It's a disaster. The game
They
is
need to
a
fix
disaster.
that.
The balancing is a disaster.
Like this could
The
happen to
PvE
me
is
because
half
I'm a
broken.
content
By
creator.
broken,
We are
I mean
easy
literally
targets for
doesn't
this.
function, blocking out huge swaths of the content that actually does exist. So it's kind of even worse when you think about it.
Yeah.
The PvP is botched, completely destroyed by exploits and bugs. Client-side control makes it unbelievably easy to cheat. People are getting each other banned for anything under the sun, and it's almost none of it is legitimate. The calculations are broken, and if you need one more example of what this game is right now, it's in the background. That is the state of New World. You can't do portals or expeditions. I mean, you can very infrequently, but it's really incredibly hard to actually get someone who has one of those orbs and then do it. Like, they can't actually be done in the way they're intended to be done. The wars are broken. The economy is fucked up. So what do people do? They spam.
It's actually funny that Amazon manages to mess up the economy, right? Shouldn't they be very economical?
No skill.
I mean, it's
actual
Amazon.
satisfaction, and you do all of it to participate in secondary systems that are, you guessed it, broken. New World is a botched game at this particular point in time. It's fun for a while, and if you plan to play it in the
too
most
early
casual
release, in my
sense,
opinion.
sure. But I decided that today I was going to use the channel to vent and make myself feel better because I truly wanted this game to be great. I truly wanted to.
And that's what all people do that love a game. They rant about it, they get upset, and they point out like the issues and stuff. That's why I said earlier at the beginning of this video that it's good to be like critical about a game and give some constructive feedback because this will make the game better. Like imagine you just accept and swallow everything you get with a game, all bugs, all issues, or lackluster content and stuff. Like you don't want that. If you love a game and you want the game to evolve, you always need to have some criticism and some feedback, even if it's negative, because this will make the game at the end of the road better, right?
Enjoy this game as my main title for weeks, months, even years, hopefully. And what it is right now sucks. It sucks really bad. How do they fix it?
Too many bugs.
Disable PvP immediately and until it can be completely overhauled. Do something
No,
to get the
then
corrupted
people
portals
will leave the
functional
game.
again as
I'll
soon
not
as
play
possible.
for PvP.
That is the only priority at this point in time. And either tie the economies together or stop the ability
just
for
need to
them to
patch
be used
stuff.
everywhere. All it is right now is a tedious, broken,
Each
fiscally
month
idiotic
remove
puzzle
3
board where
bucks
you
or
try to
4
get around
bucks.
and do things at separate locations, while half the end game isn't even playable. And every single war is inherently a joke. I have no idea how people are defending this shit. I consider this the end of my New World coverage. I had initially planned to do a series of guides, but all I see now is the best DPS guide or the best crafting methods from
Okay, you
other
maybe
YouTubers.
come
But
back.
these YouTubers are basing it all on numbers and bonuses that don't even compute correctly, thereby invalidating all of their content. What is the actual point here? I'll still play on my own a bit. I will certainly check out the patches. That much is definitely true.
Yeah, that would be
Because
much
who knows,
changing.
maybe they can pull off a miracle, but I'm done covering it.
I think they will.
I have nothing positive to say anymore about this game. And I could have just shut my mouth and moved on without this video as well, that's true. But somehow I just kept getting annoyed, like holding in a sneeze.
I actually think they will fix it with patches, because when there was like the beta and like players said, oh, there's this and this kind of bug, they did fix some of the stuff, and then they actually launched the game a bit later, but they still had to launch it early because maybe like the higher up said, hey, you must release this game latest by then. But I'm pretty sure they will patch it.
This was my sneeze. I'm done. Have a nice night.
Giraffe. Okay, wow. Like, there are so many bugs. Like, I have experienced a lot of bugs myself. Like I said, the wall glitch. Like, but there's like a lot of bugs I didn't know. Like, for example, if you like make the windows smaller, that you become like immortal and stuff. Like, this game is full of bugs. But then again, like I said, this was released way too early. They should have waited for like a few more months, but they couldn't because the higher up said, hey, you must release it at this and this period of time, no later. We can't delay the game any further. Like I get it, because that's like how they make money, right? Because if they wait longer and longer and they can sell it, they invest more and more and more money into the game, and from a business perspective they feel like it doesn't pay off to constantly delay a game. And it makes sense because they are paying staff, but they're not getting any money back, because they only get money back by selling the game, right? But I really hope that they're gonna patch a lot of stuff, and I'm positive that they will, because the way they were when like beta was there, right, and how they delayed it once. Like, I'm pretty sure if they can delay our release when in beta there are issues, like major issues, that they can patch stuff as well. Plus, like, everyone has their eyes now on, like, New World. And now they have, like, a certain, let's say, reputation, a certain image already on the community as, like, one of the biggest MMO games. And if you have that title, one of the biggest MMO games, or maybe they are actually #1 right from the MMO games, at least currently, because it's still new. Let's see how it will be in some months. But I'm positive they're gonna fix it. I think New World is really fun, but the thing that I kind of like dislike about New World is there's like little story and PvE. Like, I hope that all the expansions that are coming are, for the majority, PvE expansions, because PvP needs just a bit of this and that, right? It's already really great. I like the big wars and stuff. Like, maybe they can fix something with the lag, with like a few changes. But yeah, I think New World is a good game. I hope they're gonna fix it. I don't think New World, personally, I don't think this game will die soon. I think the hype will still last for more months, and maybe like an expansion will bring the hype somehow back. But I'm really curious about the future of New World. And what do you guys think about New World? Have you experienced those bugs yourself? I've experienced some of them. And also some of the lag where like characters get like freaking frozen and whatever you use doesn't properly work. I've experienced that too. And that with the economy, it's so broken. It's funny that Amazon's game breaks the economy when Amazon's economy is so well. It's interesting. And yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget, hit that subscribe button for more content. I would also really appreciate if you like this video. This will help out with the YouTube algorithm. And I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.